Welcome guys back to Fan First Sports. I hope you guys are having a great day. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for the love, the support on the first video. It was really fun to make, and then seeing your guys' comments, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and I hope to keep making more content for fans out there, for you guys. It's been really fun. And so today what I wanted to do, it's been about a week old at this point, but I want to react and point out my key takeaways from the Neil Olshey press conference he had. And I think there was a lot to unpack, but there was also a lot that he talked about that's going to kind of create the vision for next year with the Portland Trail Blazers and what that's going to look like. I'm really excited to talk about, so I'm going to jump right in to the first key takeaway. So the first thing I want to get into is Neil Olshey is ready. He is shopping CJ McCollum. Now, the reason I say that, in the press conference, Neil was asked a, I thought, silly question. He was asked, would he ever, trade Dame and start a rebuild if things don't work out? And he immediately shut it down. Then a couple minutes later, he was asked, is he open to the breakup of CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard? And in the past, if you know Neil, he would always shut it down. He would say he's sticking to what he has. He likes the backcourt. They can win with him. But what he said here, he said he's not going to talk about the players. It's not fair to them. And then he added a big but. He said it's a business and nothing is ever off the table. And that was the first kind of inkling that, hey, he's looking to get rid of CJ. And I agree. I think it would do a lot of good for the roster, the team, if they ship off CJ. Just a couple of names I think they should look for and would fix a lot of problems. My favorite, and I've been saying this for so long, I love this guy, would be Chris Middleton. I think he fixes so much things with that starting lineup, adds size, adds shooting, adds playmaking, and defense. I don't think you can necessarily trade straight across CJ for Chris Middleton, but that would be a home run if you could package something for that. Some other names I'll mention, Tobias Harris, who was kind of talked about coming to Portland a couple times in the past, or if you could execute a 3-team trade for someone like Pascal Siakam. Now, the reason I say that and the reason I think it would be a great idea is, first of all, you have Norman Powell. If you can get him back, slide him right up to the 2, and then you fix that small backcourt issue, and then you slide in someone like Chris Middleton or Tobias Harris there, and now you got a starting lineup of Dame, Norm, Robert Covington, let's say Chris Middleton, and a Yusuf Nurkic. That is an elite starting 5 that can compete with anyone. And it fixes, there was a lot of criticism of the 3-guard lineup and how small that was, and how it couldn't get the job done on defense. And it showed. I mean, the Blazers finished 29th of 30 teams in defense last year. That is so unacceptable. In my eyes, it's pathetic. It's pathetic defense because you do have teams that are in rebuild or have no motivation to play hard, and you still finish 29 out of 30, 15th out of 16 teams in the playoffs on defense. That is so bad, and it has nothing to do with the roster. Neil Olshey addressed this last offseason by bringing in Robert Covington, Derrick Jones Jr. The defense should not have been at that level, but taking away CJ and throwing in one of those guys to bolster that defense, create a bigger lineup, I think would do wonders. And Neil Olshey is looking to shop CJ McCollum, and I believe that is great. Okay, this next key takeaway was Neil Olshey throwing Terry Stotts under the bus. And at this point, you either have a love or hate relationship with Neil. Either you think he's a genius and can fix things, or you want him out of Portland. And let me just talk to Neil's personality. I mean, I've seen this thrown around a lot. He has that used car salesman vibe to him. He was kind of smug, and if you watch the interview, repeatedly he would cut off the media's questions, or when they would ask a bad question, but he knew what the question was, he would bicker back and forth with them. And in his defense, it is on the media to ask great questions, which they regularly don't. But in this instance, he was asked about Neil's job security. And what he said was the defensive rating and the non-advancement in the playoffs was not due to the roster. Now, would I have said that differently? Yes. I believe in ownership, extreme ownership, especially when you are the general manager of the team. But was he wrong? I don't think so at all. It was a clear shot to Terry and the coaching staff. But again, when you look back at last season and how they performed on the defensive end and not moving past a Denver Nuggets team, which also played small ball, was banged up, and you lose 4-2 and you were the favorite, there was a clear coaching mess up there. It was all in the coaching. And I thought going into the season, Neil had put together the best roster since, maybe the LaMarcus Aldridge years where they had Wes Matthews, Nick Batum, before all those injuries happened there. But I was so high on this team coming in, and Terry showed once again that he couldn't get the job done. And this was, again, with Terry being fired, this is something that should have happened a while ago, and I think Neil wanted to have happened a long time ago. After they got swept by the Pelicans a couple years back, Dame actually advocated to keep Terry around, in which they did. Next year they went to the Western Conference Finals, but still, with multiple leads against the Warriors in that series, they couldn't get it done. And Terry never made adjustments, didn't get the job done. And then we just saw year after year, the coaching, like Terry hit his ceiling, and that's why he's out. I think with some of these things, with Neil having a great offseason, a little bit of development from the players, and bringing in a coach that is going to hold people accountable on defense, I think is going to be, it can take them really far. But that throwing Terry under the bus, was it warranted? Yes. Should he have said it like that? No. But that was another big takeaway, and that's why this next season is going to show everything we need to know about Neil Olshey. Okay, so my last key takeaway was Neil Olshey's vision for next season. This will jump around a little bit, but the main thing that he expressed starts with the coach and the commitment to defense there. This next coach is going to have to show, whether it's through experience or a vision they have, that he can get the job done on defense. He also led that into the bench. Now, with the bench, he wants to bring in more defensive playmakers, and I totally agree. I think he was referring maybe to Melo and Cantor, which I love, but if you watch this season, you know that they are really bad on defense. One of the things I was super hard on with Terry Stotts was Derrick Jones Jr. and his minutes. And I couldn't tell you why he wasn't getting minutes. I mean, Derrick Jones is one of those guys. He showed he can improve the jump shot. He's a lob threat. And on defense, there's so many different things you can do with him, as far as like having him pick up guys at half court, be a little bit more aggressive. And he's one of the better one-on-one defenders on the team. So where did he go? I'm not sure. I can't tell you. I would like to see him get more minutes. The next thing that kind of goes into is Nurk's development. Nurk on the defensive end. Now, I was extremely hard on Nurkic throughout the year when he came back from injury and in the playoffs. I thought he was unplayable at times. And after looking back and kind of seeing how the offseason went down so far, I don't really blame Nurkic. I think Terry didn't put him into good spots on defense. I mean, he was asked to guard Jokic one-on-one through the playoffs, which not really anybody can do. And just overall not having good commitment to the guard play defensively and the forwards. Nurk was put into so many spots where he had to go and make plays, and it wasn't good for him. And then on the offensive end, not having him involved, as far as being a playmaker and doing some of those things, he can really get into his head. And I think there was so much to Nurk where if he can develop and have this full off season to really train and work on some of those things, work on finishing at the rim, I think he's in Portland to stay. And I think he is a key, a really big part of how well the Blazers are going to be next season. And I think he can develop into that defensive anchor that is consistent. And so those are just some of my key takeaways for the vision of next year. I really hope they bring back Powell as well and offload CJ, like I said earlier. But again, this is Neil Olshey's last chance. This is all eyes are on him, and he has to make the right decisions with the head coach, how he's going to retool this, the roster, and there's no more scapegoats for him. all eyes are on Neil, and the pressure is on. You got to go and make some things happen this offseason, and I'm super excited to see where it goes. With that being said, that's kind of my key takeaways from the Neil Olshey press conference. Let me know what you guys think would be some good moves for the offseason. Maybe some CJ trades. Those are always fun to talk about. But I just appreciate the support again. I'll see you guys on the next video.